Whiskey 9, 7 November, interrogative Alpha Bravo. Negative Alpha Bravo. And this is 7 November Golf. Roger, request you check your Romeo side. I'll go ahead and check my Tango side. 7 November Golf out. November 8-5, and 8-5, 7 November, say again. 7 November, go. I copied a while ago, 1 Charlie transmission that my can use November, go. 1 Charlie, and 8-5, this is 7 November, Charlie. Now 1 Charlie, 7 November, go.
This is 1 Charlie, reference to your last, you're Brandon 158, extra 5 o'clock, 1200 between teams, local. Also request your unit take inbound Nexus to see if we can try to get Whiskey 9 and 8 for pause with the playground.
And this is 7 November, Roger, stand by.
Got that.
Got it? Alright. And all units, this is 7 November Golf. My unit Alpha, Echo, X-ray Alpha, Alpha in there.
One Charlie, Alpha Bravo.
Hey, I never took a dip.
Whiskey 9, 7 November, interrogative Alpha Bravo. Whiskey 9, Yankee, 7 November Golf, over. This is Whiskey 9, go. Whiskey 9, 7 November, interrogative Alpha Bravo. Whiskey 9, Yankee, 7 November Golf, over. This is Whiskey 9, go. Whiskey 9, 7 November, interrogative Alpha Bravo. Negative Alpha Bravo. And this is 7 November Golf. Roger, request you check your Romeo side. I'll go ahead and check my Tango side. 7 November Golf out. November 8-5, and 8-5, 7 November, say again. 7 November, go.
A little random live Q&A on a Saturday, October 4th. Appreciate everyone being here. Remember, if there's no questions, there's no live Q&A. So ask me your VA disability claim questions. It could be any VA benefit question, GI Bill, whatever, but disability compensation is where the rubber meets the road for a lot of veterans. So I'm here for that. I'm burping because I'm drinking a Coke. Totally shouldn't be drinking a Coke, but whatever. We have our first question of the day, first chat as well. Let me go ahead and get this out. Everyone can join our Discord. All right. The link is in the pin comment of this live. And if you're a member, you have member only access to member questions. It's basically a 24/7 Q&A provided by Kish, and Kish is our resident VA rater retired. So if you just hop in member chat, you can see his answers and just how well he answers everyone. In fact, I don't know how he does it, to be honest with you. Okay. RV, you're a member. Thank you for being a member. I appreciate that. It says, what's the easiest way to check if your claim was done in Philadelphia? If I'm in Cali, I should be good, right? Yeah, so it's not regional from that sense. It used to be back in the day, not anymore. And so essentially the national work queue will spit your claim to a regional office that has the availability. That's like, it's more to that, but that's the gist. So it's not, I live in California, therefore my claim wasn't done in Philly. Now, why you're asking that is the VA OIG report. That's the biggest buzz right now. I guess the government shutdown is the biggest buzz, but if it wasn't for that, this OIG report would be like, bam, for veterans. I would use the claim tracker tool. Right. It's called Claim Tracker. It's a Google extension. Log into va.gov, open up the claim tracker, and you'll be able to see a little more information on your claim there. All right, Gary Shreve. I know I pronounced that incorrectly. Apologize for that. Thank you for being a member. I appreciate it. Thank you for joining the live. Gunny, how's it going? What's up? I like your, I think that's a minion. Is that a minion? Looks like a minion. Seabax, thank you for being a member. All right, I like the emoji. Appreciate it. Sherry Sanford, thank you for being a member. Says, good afternoon. What's the best way to cover a gap in treatment? Records from the late 80s. Doctors won't keep records that long. Please help. Okay, so one, I think it's specific to the condition. All right, so I'm just going to pick one at random. Let's say back. You had medical records. You have service treatment records from late 70s, early 80s. That happened. You have no medical records from the late 80s to whenever, and now you're trying to submit a claim. And so you're looking at continuity of symptoms. That's why I assume you're asking this question. So when you look at continuity of symptoms, yes, it is true. You absolutely want hard medical evidence to fill that gap. But in your case, statements are your only option. All right. And I would also look at insurance. Like if you have insurance bills that say, hey, you went here. So for instance, I went to, I'm going to be very vague here. I went to the hospital in 2019. I couldn't find those records, but I found through my insurance that said I went to the hospital and these are the charges, right? And so sometimes you have to think outside the box just to prove that you were in fact being seen. Statements are one. Talk about over-the-counter medication. Talk about your symptoms during that time frame too, not just your documented symptoms and what that looks like. I just noticed my camera is slightly this way. Gunny, thank you very much for joining as a member. Our first member joined on this channel. I appreciate that very much. Let me move this. Move. A little bit more. Okay. Oh, too much. I got cups everywhere. Dude, my desk is a mess right now. What is this? Oh, this is my, nope. There. No. Gunny, no, there's no requirement for that. But hey, I appreciate it. Thank you for being a member. If you haven't downloaded Discord yet, join our server. Link your YouTube account. There's directions right there in the instructions. And then you'll get member-only access. And you'll be able to talk to Kish. Ask him all the questions. Okay? Yes, I do pay him for that. All right. We're at Josh Alden. I feel I should have been med boarded out with a disability. Any information on how to challenge that? So if you're already out, that ship has sailed. All right. If you're in, and I don't know your situation. If you're in, you need to speak with your healthcare team. That would be one. Maybe a career counselor. I don't know your situation if you're in or not, but I'm going to assume that you're not in. That ship has sailed. All right. And unless there was a clear, unmistakable error there during your IDES claim, IDES, which there probably isn't. How would you challenge that? I would simply just do, and at minimum, have an intent to file and submit the claim now. And if you want to see if there is a challenge for that, that is lawyer territory for sure. So that would be my recommendation. I don't know your situation. I'm kind of making assumptions here to answer your question, but yeah, that's all I got. I might get 30% and I cumulative have 92.51. Maybe did I make it? Yeah, if you're at 9, yes, that is going to be 100%. All right, that's 100%. Especially if there's a bilateral factor there, that's a slam dunk 100. All right, Charleston Zimmerman. I am filing for ship collision, PTSD. Does a VBA send to a different rater than a combat PTSD rater? Okay, so when you look at specialties, you're really looking at MSTs. There are other specialties, but that's the main one there. In your case, no. Now, when it comes to fear-based, and I meant to do a video on this, I just haven't gotten around to it. When it comes to fear-based PTSD, which is a possibility here, I don't know what that situation is, or just unspecified disorder. Unspecified stressor disorder. Not sure. Regardless, it's going to go through the process. The stressor is going to be verified. I feel like that's something that would be easily verifiable. All right. But ship collision is something that's unknown to me. Yeah, but you're looking at non-combat, maybe stress, definitely stress related. Maybe fear-based, depending on the situation, but I don't think so. All right, Stephen Miller. I have an HLR IC this Wednesday. If the regional office is still closed, do you think this will get canceled? No, I don't think so. The regional office, there's a statement out that talks about what will be affected, and it says new claims specifically. Now, new claim, I'm gonna assume that means initial. Not including higher level reviews, but it could. I don't think so. Okay. I just got 10% for recurrent tinnitus. Hey, congrats. That's that's how most veterans make their way into VA disability. Man, I just saw a TikTok from a nurse practitioner selling Nexus letters online. And she was really hardcore advocating for getting 100% from secondaries solely from tinnitus, which is wild to me. But can I get a secondary claim for migraines? I should really read everyone's questions before I open my mouth. Okay, in that same thread, can you get secondary conditions for migraine or secondary migraine to tinnitus? The answer is yes. However, or not as common as you think. Okay, migraines, you really see cervical strain as a connection point and mental health like PTSD, anxiety as a connection point. Yes, you do see tinnitus, but the issue is current evidence shows that tinnitus is a symptom, hence the VA disability changes, okay? The medical community talks about tinnitus being a symptom. And so a causative link, very hard to establish. Does your tinnitus aggravate your migraines? There's potential there, okay? But let me just tell you this. I've seen more migraine secondary claims to tinnitus be denied than anything else. So, food for thought. The question isn't, can migraines be secondary to tinnitus? The answer is yes. The question is your migraines connected to your tinnitus? All right, I'm past due for your help. Yep, no worry, Gunny. Appreciate that. Thank you. I heard once you get Chant VA, they will back pay your family's medical expenses. No, they won't. Robert Young, your videos have been a blessing for us all. Thank you for all you do for veterans. Hey, thank you. Appreciate that. %, for recurrent tinnitus, was denied migraines with favorable findings, being tinnitus is service connected. So you're already see. I'm glad you said that because you already denied migraine secondary. Should I have an easy time getting a rating for that? No, you should not. It's not going to be easy. When it comes to secondaries, especially difficult ones like this one, that's when Nexus letters come into play. I am a fan of Nexus letters on denials and on secondaries. You rate both of that criteria, but I'm still not a fan of I'm not a fan of anything secondary to tinnitus. Okay. Going through IDES process. My claims closed step 5 of 5. What does this mean? It means nothing. Doesn't mean anything. I wouldn't sweat it. And to be honest with you, I would stop checking, and it will get there when it gets there. There's nothing you can do about it anyways. File and forget is the plan, right? File, forget, attend your exam, easy peasy, lemon squeezy, get a letter in the mail. Or you'll see your money's hit the bank account. Thanks for all you do. Your videos have been a blessing for us all. Yeah, thank you for that. Appreciate it. Have you seen lately sleep apnea secondary to PTSD? Yes, very common. Commonly denied too, but when it's denied, there's always competing evidence, okay? The most common denial I've seen for sleep apnea secondary to anything is weight gain, meaning the veteran's fat, their obesity is not connected via service or recognized as an intermediate step, and is denied. And so there's always evidence is a two-way street. Okay, two-way street, meaning there's evidence for your claim, like you have evidence of sleep apnea secondary to PTSD that's in your favor. And then yet there's evidence that's not in your favor. And so the question is, what is the competing evidence? Everyone always forgets this, all right? Everyone always forgets about competing evidence. Obesity would be a huge one, all right? Because there is no more likely than not sleep apnea secondary to PTSD. There's no causative link. It's all correlation. And so you have to look at how many correlative links there are and then what the competing evidence is. And that's what's going to lead a medical professional or CMP examiner to give a favorable, at least as likely as not, opinion. Competing evidence is the key factor in sleep apnea secondary. I need to do an updated video on that. All right. If I had a re-evaluation in 2023 and increased, am I cooked? Man, that's hilarious. I'm in a youth pastor position right now, and the teens call me dude and bruh, and they say cooked and all this other slang, and it's hilarious. I'm reading it here on YouTube. All right. If I had a re-eval in 2023 and increased, am I cooked? No. Do I need to see if it was in Philadelphia? Not really. It's not that every single claim from this person specifically is going to be, or they're going to be looked at. It doesn't mean that there's going to be major changes. All right. It just means that claim accuracy is going to be a thing. But you have a recent increase. No, you're not cooked. All right. I wouldn't sweat it. Also, I just hop on Claim Tracker. Let me actually find the Claim Tracker video because I made a video on how to download it. I got permission from the creator to do that of Claim Tracker. So Claim Tracker tool, TheCivDiv. Oh, this is when I had my mics. I still have this mic stand. Yeah, this is it. This is a video. Look at that, dude. I had my forward-facing hat there. I still have the mic stand, okay? That mic broke. It's right here. All right, let me link this down below. This is the Claim Tracker tool that I don't want to do a Bing. How do I? Oh, watch it on YouTube. You'll want to check this out. Claim Tracker tool. Okay. There we go. All right, my Optum appointment got canceled for next week. I'm sorry about that. That always sucks. It always sucks when CMP exam appointments get canceled. Hey, we have our first super chat. So, Gunny, thank you for being a member. Appreciate that. And Ashton Martin, thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate that. It says radiculopathy left and right, secondary to lower back. Diagnosis and MRI good enough. Yes. That's a rarely do I say slam dunk claim, but that's a slam dunk. All right. I'm going to assume your lumbar spine's already connected. If that's the case, then easy peasy lemon squeezy, it's on the same DBQ. What I mean by that, I'll show you what I mean by that. It's on the same DBQ, so it's going to be reviewed. And I always recommend doing separate claims. So instead of a radiculopathy bilateral or sciatica bilateral claim, I would do 2 claims: left lower radiculopathy or radiculopathy left lower extremity, and then right lower extremity secondary to back. But let me do public DBQs VA, and it'll pop this bad boy up. And what I mean by it's on the same DBQ, so it's a given thoracolumbar spine. All right, that's the DBQ, and the back one's pretty. Let me zoom in so you can see what I'm looking at. The back one's pretty big. Evidence review, blah, blah, blah. Diagnosis here, blah, blah, blah. You know, this is all for the spine and the back. They're looking at international classification of diseases and the date of diagnosis there. Medical history, that's all for service connection stuff. And then you'll see that's the range of motion test there. There's another rating schedule for the back as well when it comes to bed rest for incapacitating episodes. And then somewhere yonder, there is radiculopathy, right? So it's on the same DBQ, so it's going to be reviewed. It's all the way down there, section 8. Yep, and then you're looking at testing, yeah, all this stuff. So it'll be reviewed for sure. All right, we have another super chat. Does Claim Tracker can only be used on desktops? I'm not sure about that. I think so. It's a Google extension. And so you download the Google extension, you go through it. I've never tried to use it mobile, but I'm just going to assume it either works best on desktop or it only works on desktop. But don't, fact check me on that because I don't truly know if it can work. If someone knows, pop up. Oh, I see. Yeah, I did both right and left due to your videos. Yep. Ashton, that's a solid claim. Solid claim. Asking for a friend, how can I cope with alcohol? Well, healthcare is an option. All right. Depending on who you are, I just made a video. I'll share that one too, of taking a more faith-based route, depending on what your cup of tea is. I understand it's not everyone's cup of tea, but it should be. I had some issues in the past with that specific thing. I'm not going to preface that video. I'm just going to put it there. I think it's individual, man. And I don't know you personally or know what issues you're dealing with. But community would be my recommendation. Good, genuine community. I'm also not a psychiatrist, so don't take my word for it. I have an ACE coming up, acceptable clinical evidence, coming up where I don't have to be there for migraines. Yep, very common. So I'm going to assume that you have your diagnosis for migraines. Your symptoms are well annotated. You maybe even be on prescriptions. You probably did a migraine secondary claim. That's what it sounds like. So all the evidence is there. They just need the opinion. And hopefully it's in your favor. I would want to know what the primary is, because then I could give you a little bit more 2 cents on that. If it's tinnitus, I'm not a big fan of tinnitus primaries at all. Not even a little bit. But they do work sometimes. Sorry, double cent. Oh, don't worry about it. Guest. Hello. Can mental health be secondary to migraines? So first off, when it comes to migraines, and I'll share you, I don't know if you've seen the secondary list I've created. I'm going to pull it up right now. I'll share it in the chat as well. It's on my drive. It's public. This is a secondary list. My wife is texting me. Okay. You can find all this. Anyways, theoretically, let me put this up. Theoretically, any condition can be secondary to any other condition given the medical evidence and strong opinion. So can mental health be secondary to migraines? Sure. That's not the right question. The right question is this: is your mental health secondary to your migraines? Obviously, someone having 6, 7, 8, 10 plus prostrating migraines a month is probably going to feel some type of way on the stress, maybe anxiety, anger side of the house. So that answer is absolutely yes. Secondary list, there's that. So check that out. Yeah, primary is PTSD for the migraine. Secondary from Joshua earlier, right here. Yeah, solid. That's a solid claim. Depending on the rating, you might even want a Nexus letter if it would push you to 100. Okay, non-PTSD stressor abused by ex-spouse. Hate to see that. Will they contact ex-spouse about the claim? No? I mean, not unless you're like, is the contact information there? What does that look like? Is the stressor easily verifiable? Meaning, are there police reports? If there are, upload that with your claim, by the way. Like, what does that situation look like for you as terms of evidence of the stressor? That's what I would be more concerned with. All right, Jason Barnes. Hi, Clay. I'm filing IU for 50% mental health, total at 90. Should I file increase? So some people would say that IU is like a giant increase claim, which it kind of is. You just need 20% more for 100. So assuming your mental health at 70 would push you to 100, there's a few things I would look at. Okay, one, you're already connected for mental health, so the hard part's over. It's just symptoms. Do your symptoms rate 70%? Now, I'm going to also assume, since you're talking about IU, that answer is yes, right? So that's like a green flag, number one. Two, I don't know what else you're rated for, but I would go through the 5 steps. That's what we do at evidence-based VA claims. You can do it yourself if you want to. You don't need our help. If you do, email us, no big deal. But go through the 5 steps. Look at increases. That's the mental health one for everything. Look at secondary claims. Look at your denied claims. Look at any new initial direct claims. Look at presumptives. Look at TARA. And holistically look at your situation. Because what a lot of veterans do is what you're doing here is you pigeonhole yourself on IU, mental health increase. When there could be a much easier route. Now, I don't know if there is or not for you because I don't know your claim situation, but that's what we do at evidence-based VA claims, and you could essentially do that yourself as long as you understand what you're looking at. Whoa. Min Win says, just want to say thank you for your videos. I was denied sleep apnea secondary to PTSD. Then the HLR was awarded 50% for direct. Look at that. Direct. Listen, direct is always the easiest claim. It's always the easiest route to take. Void presumptives, which I would argue presumptives are direct anyways. But direct service connection is always easier then secondary, then aggravation, then whatever else. If you have evidence in there, that is the route to take, right? But I'm glad your decision review officer hooked you up there. So that sounds awesome. I'm curious if they awarded it right there from the HLR or if they kicked it back for development. I'd be way happy if they awarded it right then and there. That's what I had that happen to me once. Pretty cool. 26% of veterans being 100% shouldn't be a thing. Don't you think groups like yours is contributing to this problem, possibly ruining compensation for those that actually deserve 100% in the future? Well, I'm not going to feel any type of way about this, but I will answer this directly, Charlie. So first, evidence wins claims. That's it. It's evidence. Do I think this channel preaches anything other than evidence? Nope, I don't think so. In fact, I get tired of saying evidence. I get tired of it because if I feel like no one listens to me. Now, to your point, like there's some truth in what you're saying. Do people manipulate evidence for veterans to be service connected? We know that to at least be the case, allegedly. Like that, we know that to be true. Allegedly, with the case on Veterans Guardian and their specific doctor manipulating evidence. All right. So you do have an argument there. Can't argue against facts. And so is that a reality? Yes. If you want to present the argument that I advocate anything other than evidence, I think I disagree with you. I'm a big fan of evidence. And I would rather veterans not submit a claim without evidence without evidence. And I talked about this yesterday with Dennis from VeteranAI, that it's not all the VA's fault. Some of it is the veterans' fault because veterans are submitting baloney, erroneous claims. And when they're denied, they get mad at the VA for denying them when that denial was rightly denied. Not every claim is going to be service connected, and not all issues that our veterans have are a result of the military. That's just plain and simple. But to go against evidence, and for those who are service connected, no, I don't think this channel is part of the problem. But, I mean, you can disagree with that. That's fine. If primary care treats you for migraines, does that count as a diagnosis? If you're being treated consistently and you have like a script, there's a diagnosis in there somewhere. All right. I would look up, like if you're talking VHA records, I would look up SCT codes. Just type SCT. If you just control F, actually, I have a video on this. I have a video on how to comb through your records. In fact, it's in a playlist that I think every veteran should watch. Like I want every veteran in America to watch what you need to know. Listen, look at this. I have 885 videos. You don't need that. Okay. No one needs that much information. This is 13, I think. Yeah, 13 public videos. This is what you need to know. Find your diagnosis step by step. I'm just going to share the playlist actually. But you'll find that in there, how to do that. But look up SCT and ICD, long story short. What you need to know. Okay, we have a super chat here. I will answer this. William Wells Sr., thank you very much. I appreciate that. Your S and K cannot be reduced. That's not, it's a weird question. I understand what you're asking, and I'm going to tell you no, okay? I know there's a technical answer there, but listen, your SMCS, which tells me you probably have a rating at 100%. You have some other ratings, cumulative up to 60 plus. You got a lot of stuff going on, and I'm guessing that. And your SMCK, so I'm going to assume you have some mental health in there, which is a huge big ticket item. That might even be your 100% rating. And you have the SMCK due to mental health medication. And that's not the case. Then you have SMCK to a failed organ, which arguably is much worse. All right. So when it comes to veteran or VA disability, you really fit into that disability category. And so there's nothing you have to worry about whatsoever. You're 100% P&T with S and K. You can relax as much as you can, as much as your body allows you to. So I'm answering that as no. Okay, there's a technical answer there, but for you, the answer is no. Hello, Clay. Currently rated at 10 for tinnitus, and about a year ago started to come down with severe medication-dependent anxiety as a result. Is this going to be an uphill battle? So you are implying anxiety secondary to tinnitus. Fairly common, all right, especially when your tinnitus is, I forgot the exact word for it. I'm just going to say all the time, all right? When it's severe, more severe than others, when it is all the time, that's possible. My question to you is, I'm going to assume you have anxiety diagnosed, you're on medication. What does your anxiety stem from? What does your evidence suggest your anxiety stems from, right? Is it childhood trauma? Is it this? Is it that? Is it whatever? Or have you been complaining that your tinnitus is so bad, maybe you can't sleep, you can't do this, you can't do that, you're always on edge, and that's where your evidence suggests the secondary connection exists in the first place. So your evidence will always answer the question. You're sounding old right now. Well, I am. I did just get a year older, so have an ace. We answer that one. Flynn Howard, thank you for being a member. Flynn, appreciate that. Whoa. I've just had my CMP for all my new claimed conditions except one. Will the VA just make a decision on the ones I just had? And how long should I wait for a decision in your opinion? Flynn, I hate to tell you this, but no one can answer that. No one can answer time frame questions. Don't care what type of claim it is. Don't care what situation you're in. No one knows. But can the VA decide some claims and not others and defer those? Yes, they can. That's the best answer I can give you because there's not a single person on this planet that can give you an accurate timeline for that at all. So I know that's not the answer you want. That's the answer you got. Michael, for ortho conditions like hips and knees, even if there's non-compensating range of motion, what does the test for functional loss look like? Can lift arm overhead, not with weight, for an example. Yeah, it looks exactly what you just said is what it'll look like, right? So, for instance, I think your knees are a good example of this. You'll lay on the doctor's bed, you know, those weird plastic beds with the plastic roll of sheet paper or whatever. And then non-weighted, you'll bend your knee, right? Both knees. And then you'll stand up and you'll kind of bend down and bend your knee when it's weighted and what that looks like. So that's what it looks like. You have weighted and non-weighted range of motion. Hope that answers your question. I would be more concerned with the evidence for service connection versus the rating via range of motion, personally. Ashton Martin, yep. Oh, yeah. Got that one. It's me, Saiga. What's up? Have had that word issues since I was in service. Just lost hearing in my right ear and VA gave me an implant. Can I file for hearing loss? Yes, you absolutely can. You've had it since you were in service. That would, I mean, I don't know why you would go secondary anyways. I would go direct. Is the DBQ for initial PTSD different than the public DBQ? So there are different DBQs for PTSD. There's a different DBQ for migraines. There's one for TBI, MST, all these other things. And you look at initial PTSD DBQ. Let's go ahead and just pull that up right now. Let me go to the, just so everyone understands what he's talking about. We'll go to the Googles, public DBQs, VA. You go here. You scroll down. You go to psychological, eating disorders, mental disorders, PTSD review. Pull that up. Essentially, you'll see the diagnosis part. You'll see the stressor part here. This, for rating purposes on DBQ, which is what you're concerned about, that really matters. All of these matter depending on what type of PTSD we're talking about, and then the symptoms. Okay. And so the biggest part on the DBQ for PTSD, not the rating process like M21 TAC1 stuff, but you're looking at 4 alpha. This is basically what rating you're going to get. And then you're going to be looking at, oh, I just passed it up. Symptoms. All right. What's up, everyone? Hope you're all having a good Saturday. My Saturday's not too bad. It got a little wild there at some point, but all's good. Okay, let's go back to this live here. Just went to 100 P&T, first service member of the family, December 5. Hey, we got something for you. It is called This Cheesy Overlay. Congrats, Bernardo. Appreciate that. I hope I was a part of that journey for you. Okay. All right. Jeff W. Whistler says, good afternoon. Hey, what's up? How's it going? All right, questions. Let me skip through this ad. It's annoying. Okay. Sleep apnea secondary to PTSD. I am diagnosed for sleep apnea. Service connected for PTSD, migraine, tinnitus, and GERD. The causation is meds with tinnitus and GERD as their aggravator. Submitted Nexus and DBQ. What are my odds? I can't. The question is impossible for me to answer, but I'll give you my thoughts. Okay. So you have a very common primary for sleep apnea, which is PTSD. Depending on what meds we're taking, like if it's gabapentin, that would be a correlative factor there for sleep apnea. So that would be favorable, assuming gabapentin is being taken for your service-connected disabilities and not for something else. Tinnitus, GERD, I'm not really sweating that too hard. Maybe some GI issues causing the obstruction there. You submitted Nexus and DBQ. That's fine. What are your odds? Probably good. The question is, what is your competing evidence if you have any? Like, are you fat? Riddle me that. How much do you weigh? What's your BMI? If you're fat, why? This is one example of competing evidence. So I would say you have good odds, but I'm saying that without understanding the competing evidence. I would love for this guy to explain why he's not a big fan of tinnitus primary when most vets are denied for every other thing they claim. Most vets aren't denied for every other thing they claim. See, this is the man. I wish I had the. I don't want to go back and pull up the data. So 25% of all veterans who are rated are at 100%. Just think about that. For 6 million veterans who are rated, it's just under 6 million. All right. 25% of that 6 million, which is, I can't math, so let me just get out my calculator. 6 million times 25%. That's 1.5 million veterans who are rated are 100%, which tells me the process works. All right. The process does work. Evidence does work. The reason I'm not a fan of tinnitus is because when you look at the evidence for tinnitus, it's not me. I'm not making this stuff up. Okay. The medical consensus, not VA, the medical consensus on tinnitus is that tinnitus is not a causative link. It's rather a symptom of something else. All right. And so when you see a denial for secondary tinnitus, you'll see the lack of causation because that's how the veteran submits the claim, is under a causative link. The evidence states otherwise. Okay. I know what ChatGPT will tell you. Don't care about that. And then you look at the tinnitus changes for the VA. The VA doesn't make up changes. They fall in line with the medical community. So the mental health changes are the newest DSM-5. Okay. The tinnitus changes fall in line with what the medical consensus is. And so tinnitus being a primary doesn't make sense at all. That's why I'm not a big fan. Can you still be service connected for things secondary to tinnitus? Yes, you can. I would personally argue aggravation versus causation. That's what I would do. But I wouldn't. Submitting something secondary to tinnitus would be my last resort. Let me just say it that way. Right? For instance, migraines. I would much rather go mental health route, like anxiety or PTSD. I would rather go cervical strain route. All right. Maybe even hypertension would be in there somewhere. So that's why. Hope that makes sense. And then obviously you can get 100% with tinnitus. Videos just are stupid. They're just so back to, hold on, where was that douchebag's comment at? What, I'm not gonna find it. When you start making the arguments of veterans taking advantage of the system, I would argue tinnitus as an anchor claim is just that. The TikTok of I'm going to see if I can find this lady. Let me see if I can find this lady, because she says 100% for Nexus letters, nurse practitioner. It's this Hispanic woman. Oh, it's her. This is her. Hold on. Okay, I found her. Let me see if I can.
It has literally been 2 minutes. 2.
Where is this?
I've gone professional, guys. I got it. All right, so you've been on military talk, and now you're thinking about your claim, and you're thinking, should I file a claim? Where do I begin? Well, I'm a board certified practitioner specializing in Nexus letters, and I'm going to give you these.
There's no such thing as specializing in Nexus letters. You specialize in certain areas, and then you can write opinions based on that area. So, and I'm not talking crap about her. Just saying, I'm trying to find this tinnitus video.
I was up at 6 o'clock thinking, oh, I'm going to get so many letters out. I'm going to get this done. Here's a call out. If you know of an organization that focuses on female veterans, I realize that maybe, what is the next letter? All right, I took it back. They're trying to strip us of our rights as women.
Tinnitus, Nexus letter, NP. Please pop up. Please, I wish you. Okay, different lady.
To 100% tinnitus. This is Lily Bird, certified nurse practitioner, and this is how you do it. So you've been service connected for tinnitus, which is the #1 rated condition by the VA. Now you're stuck at the 10% mark.
10% for tinnitus can get you 100%. It's just dumb. It's a good sales pitch for these people, but it just doesn't make sense. So there you go. Anyways, hope that makes sense. All right. How can you find out whether your claim was adjudicated at Philly? I would use Claim Tracker personally. On paper, I have been rated with code 8002 for 5 years. All right. Hold on. We got some super chats here. Let me get this. 5 years or so, but I've been med boarded, and the Air Force categorized it as 8003, which feels more accurate. It's now more stable enough, and they're rating it by secondaries. Are you talking about VA diagnostic code? Hold on. Let me look up VA diagnostic code 8000. Because we're definitely, I think that's neurological. 8002 VA diagnostic code 38 CFR. Also, what the Air Force does doesn't matter. Yeah, we're talking about neurological brain tumors. And then 8003. What is 8003? 8003 benign. Residuals minimum. Malignant. Let me share my screen. The rating code in 8002 will be continued for 2 years following cessation of surgical, chemo, or other treatment. At this point, if the residuals have stabilized, the rating will be made on neurological residuals according to symptomology. So that's what you're talking about. It confuses me that we're talking DOD and Department of VA. Those are different. Med board issue there. Yeah, but you've been rated for 5 years. I want to know if you're P&T. That would be my question. When adding, subtracting dependents, do they review your ratings? No. Oh, hold on. I forgot we had some super chats here. Let me get to these. That neurological question was a good one. Okay. Mike G, Travel Poker. What's up? Thank you for being a member. I appreciate that. Says, thanks for reading that statement. Hey, no worries. Thank you. Appreciate that. For context here, he had emailed me something and I took a peek at it. But yeah, appreciate that. Marcella CS, thank you. Faithful viewer here. Ain't a member, ain't a super chat. No need for all of that, but I appreciate it. Says, I 100 believe that if VA disability was called VA compensation, people wouldn't have such harsh feelings towards people receiving it, and more vets would get the benefits they've earned, which is that. I agree. I would rename it. Administrations are all about renaming things right now for some reason. I would simply rename. It's 4:30. I wouldn't rename it VA compensation. I would rename it VA service connected compensation. That's what I would do. And it would be just like this. Call it a day. That's what I would rename it to. VA service connected compensation. For reasons that you just described. I'm trying to find my spot. Where was I? I was right here. Okay, hey bro, what's up? Thank you for being a member. It says, is it normal if my claim just recently got denied and got a decision letter, but then immediately my claim went back to step 4, evidence gathering? Is this normal at all? Cheers. I'm assuming there's some automation stuff that made a mistake. I'm not completely sure on that. What I would do because you're back in evidence gathering. One, I would look at the decision letter and see if it's just an update letter versus an actual decision that was rendered. And two, I would just call the VA. Give them a call, all right, and just get the answer straight from them about that specific code. VSP. I actually rewatched Caleb Hammer's video. Actually, you know what? Let me, because I said it. This is going to, hey, what's up? How's it going? There's a comment down here that I also want to bring up. When's the video about Caleb Hammer trash talking vets coming out? So I meant to record it yesterday. The reason I didn't is because I couldn't discern. I couldn't discern if he was actually speaking bad about veterans or not. What's happening? Okay, so let's go to Caleb Hammer. But I will definitely show you what he's referring to, because it is a big one. And it is, where did it go? Is this the official one? Yeah, this is it. Okay, hold on. I will find it. I know exactly what the dude looks like. I watched it yesterday. Oh, it's right in my face. Okay.
What do you do for a living?
This might make you upset, but we're going to watch it. Okay. But I couldn't determine if he was talking crap on veterans or not. Right. And you'll see that in the last clip. So let's watch.
I just get VA disability. That's how I'm supporting myself. Oh, wow. How much does that bring in on a monthly basis? 32 a month. Is that enough to live on in Oklahoma City? Absolutely. I got a house. I got a brand new truck. I got a Harley. We're bringing in $4,766 a month.
And then also 100% disabled the VA. So that brings in an extra $3,700 a month.
Wow. May I ask what happened?
I fell off of a jet in Afghanistan and compressed my spine and messed up my knees, my neck.
What branch did you serve with?
Air Force.
I was in the Navy for 6 years. I get VA disability.
Very cool. And what is that on a monthly basis?
I get $2,000 for that and free healthcare. So can't put a price on that.
Wow.
Uncle Sam is my favorite sugar daddy. With the VA money that comes in, we make about $8,000 a month.
VA.
Husband is VA.
Okay.
Yeah. So retired military.
Is it disability?
Yeah, disability pay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is every time. There's not been one veteran on the show that does not have a disability.
Well, he did get blown up overseas in a vehicle.
That's a good way to get disability. What do you do for a living?
You see, I don't know. I can't decide if he's making fun of veterans receiving or not. Because like we saw the dude who had his spine compressed from falling off a jet in Afghanistan. The sugar daddy comment was stupid. Like, why do people say stupid things? It's like veterans want America to hate us. And then you have the last lady.
He did get blown up overseas.
Who says that, right? And she says he's retired. So I'm gonna assume he was med boarded and went through like an IDES claim there and has a DOD rating and a VA rating assumption. So I don't know if he's making fun of veterans or not. And I didn't want to put him on blast for it, right? Because it's kind of in the middle. Anyways, so that's why I haven't made it yet, okay? I was going to yesterday. When they scheduled my CMPs for my now stable, let me go back to, okay. Well, it's under residuals, right? They're not necessarily secondaries. It's under residuals for the 8003 code there. So that makes more sense now that you say that. We answered that one. Thoughts on OIG report, and will this affect new claims that are currently open? So I made a video. People got pretty butthurt. I said it. I'll say it again. Rumor mill, and I can't prove it, and I don't even. This is why people get mad, because I can't prove it, but it is a rumor mill. But the people who told me I do trust, that claim accuracy is going to be looked at, right? For any and all claims at 100, for those who prompt the VA to look at claim accuracy. So currently open, I don't think so. I think those who are 100, I would really caution doing anything at all with the VA personally when it comes to VBA stuff. And for the claims that this particular person oversaw, they're going to be reauthorized. Like there's no way that comes out in an OIG report and the VA just says, whatever. My IDS throws my back out all the time. I think IVDS. I'm concerned about going for an increase because my range of motion could be good or terrible on a given day. Yeah, so when you're talking about throwing your back out, that kind of suggests bed rest. So I don't know if you've been on like prescribed bed rest or not. And there's 2 different rating schedules for the back. Actually, let's go look at them, because this kind of gets complicated. Here, I'll show you how to fish. Everyone watch what I'm going to do. Oh, wrong one. Lumbar, spine. That's me. I want to make sure that's good. Lumbar, spine, 38, CFR, ECFR. Oh, I have to leave right after this. Okay. I'll answer this question and then I'm going to dip out. We'll go fast. Where's the spine? Where's the spine? The spine. Okay. Range of motion right here. Bada bing, bada boom, bada boom. There it is. And then you'll find incapacitating episodes somewhere. There we go. For incapacitating episodes. So there's 2 different rating schedules, meaning you can be rated. The VA will take the highest one. So when you talk about prescribed bed rest, you could be rated here. Side note, if you're rated here, you can't be rated for nerves in your legs, like radiculopathy secondary. Not a thing under this rating schedule. So that'll be a factor. And the overwhelming majority of veterans are rating on the general rating formula, which is range of motion. Okay. So for you, I would ask Trent, what is your back rating? Because if it's 40%, I would leave it alone. If it's not 40 and it's at 20, and then you have left and right radiculopathy at 10, I would probably be okay with submitting an increase based on this comment. I would really look at your other claims and then your overall rating, right? If you did get an increase on your back, what would that do to your overall rating? And then take that into account as well. Anyways, I hope that answers your question. My wife is texting me. It's time for me to go. I have to go do something I don't want to do. Okay. So thank you for coming to the live stream. I appreciate it. And thank you for asking all the questions. That's it. Peace.